We can see this golfer's a little bit upright. The hands are very close to his thighs, almost a Jim Furyk position. I'd like to see him get bent over a little bit more, maybe more down on this line here with a straighter back, just a little bit lower. See if that helps. He makes a nice pass. He's very athletic. So let's just go ahead and watch this swing. We'll go ahead and play it the first time through in full motion. Now you know why I slow it down. It's really hard to see what's going on in full motion, isn't it? We'll back it up a little bit. Here we come, right there. Now what you're gonna see as we advance this, now I'm gonna advance it just slowly, frame by frame. We'll just watch what's going on. Club starting back. Notice the hands are staying right there. They're going straight back. Very good position right there. Maybe a little to the inside here, but not too bad. Not over-rotating the arms or hands. What we like to see is that the face of the club is still parallel to the lead forearm. You see it is. It hasn't rotated up. Still parallel there. Very nice turn. As he's going back, the only thing I'd like to see is I'd like to see the shoulders get parallel to that red line that's going from the ball, the swing plane. The shoulders are a little upright. I think he's doing that because he's not bent over enough. So he's going to get a little stuck and lose a little power. So we're going to go up again. He's going to end up very vertical. This is what we call a classic two-plane swing. But what we don't want to see is this move right there. See how the hands are going forward? From right here, the hand's got to drop right back down again. We've got to go down, vertical drop it. So he's going a little bit forward here. But he does get right back onto the plane, just a little bit above it, not bad. Notice that the club head is trying to get parallel to the trail elbow, trying to get down to it. Not bad. A little coming up on the right toes now a little bit more, but a nice impact. Look at the ball flight, nice and straight, right where he's lined up. Little baby draw, very nice high shot. I think he's going to get more power, which is what he's looking for, if we get him to bend over a little bit more and get a little more athletic in the stance. Nice finish. Good job. This golfer is in what we call the single plane setup, which means that the club shaft runs parallel to the underside of the trail arm. Let's go ahead and put in her spine tilt. That should be pretty close to 90 degrees, and it is. She needs to have her hands a little bit lower maybe, or a little bit more bent over so that the red line goes in the middle of the back, but that's pretty close. I mean, this is a pretty good shot here. What we are seeing though is that she's aimed further right than she thought she was. If we draw the line across the toes, she's aiming kind of over there somewhere. Let's see where the ball goes. We'll go ahead and play it the first time through at full speed. It's really hard to see it, but we'll try it anyway. And here we go, full speed. Boom. Oop, practice swing. Good fake. Oh, another practice swing. And a hit. I'll tell you, one of the things I don't like about that kind of a practice swing is you're not rehearsing anything you want to do in real life. You don't really want to go down and stop at the golf ball. Let's go back and take a look at those practice swings. So she goes up and down and stops, up and down and stops, up and down and stops. All right, what we've got to do is we've got to find a way that our practice swing is a rehearsal of what it is we're trying to do. It's too late to practice. So let's just step up there and try to find the rehearsal movement that we want to do in real life. So let's go ahead and play her swing in slow motion. We passed all the practice swings. Club head's nicely behind the ball. Taking the club right up the red line, nicely. It's right on the red line. She's folding up a little bit right here and back down the red line. Not bad. And right on through, but catches it down on the toe. So she ends up hitting it where she's aimed, but she only hit it that way because she's catching the ball on the toe. You see that? Let's clear everything out of the way. You can see that the club head is going to be hitting the ball out on the toe. See, out on the toe. That's why it's going to the right. Also, we see that she hasn't straightened her arm and club. At about here, I'd like to see the club out here. Get that club turning out. Get it through and released. Everything else is pretty good. Now here's what we talked about, the folding over process. Notice how bent the lead arm is. The lead arm is only bent that much because the trail arm is bent more than 90 degrees. We want to keep this bend right here at 90 degrees. That'll help this arm stay nice and straight. Let's advance the swing. Here comes down in slow motion, head's diving down. Right on through, catches it out on the toe in a nice swing because she never gets her extension here. You see how the left elbow still bent. It's got to be dead strong, hands have to be lower. That club shaft should be back where it was at setup, which was here. And let's just go back and find out if that's the truth. Yes, it was. You're right there. You got to return. If you're going to be on a single plane, you want to stay on the plane. While it's hard to tell on this angle, this is a single plane swinger. What we'd like to have him do is have the club back. He needs to be tilted back so that his nose is over the club shaft and the club head is going to be right there. So you can see how far forward he is. He's barely behind the ball at all with his head. We got to get a little tilt. We want to run the spine tilt angle at about like that. So his lead ear should be on the white line. All right, so let's get rid of that so you can see what's going on. I like the setup other than that. We just got to get him a little tilt. Now as he goes back, we're going to watch it in slow motion. Does a pretty decent takeaway. Then what he does, he forgets to finish the takeaway. This is a driver swing. We want to get the driver to be up. There's the driver, there's the hands. We got to get up there. Otherwise, there's no point in swinging the driver because it's not going to have enough energy to get up in the air and it'll never drive the ball far enough. Then as he comes down, he loses that almost immediately and he never gets forward. And look at the pull in here with the right arm. We want that right arm or his front arm to be out in front of his hip. The elbow needs to be in front and then he needs to rotate through and extend. The triangle that he created needs to be long, like that, not pulled in tight. See how tight he is? That means he never got to the front side, so he never was able to establish any rotation that way. Short finish, still all the weights on the back foot. We need to get up, so if I clear everything out of the way, at the finish, everything's lined up here. The right hip, right shoulder, in this case, left hip, left shoulder, left ear. John is trying to switch over to the single plane swing from playing a lifetime of two-plane golf. And what you see here is that he's in closer to a driver two-plane setup. In fact, he's almost in an ideal two-plane setup for the driver. And what he's going to do is he's going to do a classic two-plane takeaway. You can see that if he was in a one-plane swing, the shaft would be running up under that arm there, would be up higher than that, and he'd probably have his forward tilt a little closer to be like that. But he's, that's kind of a so what, because he hits the ball really well. He's such a good athlete, he can probably set up any way he wants. One good thing here is you can see the lead arm above the trail arm, but unfortunately you don't get to see the lead thigh above the trail thigh. So he's a little bit off kilter there with his feet. Let's go ahead and take the swing back nice and slow. You can see what he's going to do is he's going to lift his hands right away, and then he's going to pronate or rotate the forearms a lot. In the single plane swing, we don't rotate. Now he's going to get into a pretty nice position here, but the left heel is coming off the ground a lot. That's still the leftover from his old single plane swing days. Now you can see how much torque there is in the golf shaft if you look closely. That means his forearms have tightened up. If he'd have relaxed his forearms a little bit, the club would have kept going and it would not have bent like that. This is not a lightweight shaft. This is probably a regular or even a stiff flex. Now he's coming back down. He's still a lot of bend in the shaft. He's unwinding. He's getting that left foot planted. Now he's up and out of his posture a little bit. Look how open the club face is. That's from the two-plane rotation on the way back. Now he's got to really some tough timing going on, and he manages to do it pretty good, but still gets a bit of a push and a little draw out of it. But you can see when you look up in the distance, he's going off to the right. So what he's got to do is he's either got to commit to one plane or two plane. Either one's going to be fine for him because he's a good athlete. The only way I would ever suggest somebody switch from a lifetime of one play is when they do something like this, where they collapse and they're not rotating. You can see that he's not rotating through the shot this way at all. He's still stuck back. Then it makes sense. He's got a great posture. If we look with the shoulder plane here, the shoulder plane is very, very parallel to where he was at setup. See that? Those are almost parallel. And what we're talking about here is parallel would be the golf shaft and the shoulder plane. Very nice. So if he can do that, he doesn't need to move around a lot. He can do a really nice, easy swing. His problem is he needs to rotate earlier. See how much rotation he got there? That was late. Here he is just after impact. I can barely see one back pocket, let alone both of them. Come on, give me some turn, John. This is one of the things I like about golf in Florida. Look at that sky. I mean, it looks ominous, doesn't it? But it really was a beautiful day. I mean, if I was up in Seattle, where I'm from years and years and years ago, I'd probably be wearing long pants, long sleeve shirt, and hoping I didn't get wet. Here it's 81 degrees, a nice breeze. Excuse me. And I got a Seattle cold all of a sudden just talking about it. Well, let's watch here at DB Swing. Let's put the golf shaft in on white, run it right up here, and her nemesis, the head movement. We'll put a little headline right there. And let's watch what goes on. Let's watch it in full speed first. What I want to say here is that how much progress she has made. I can remember early on this season and late last season, when she got to here, her head could have been anywhere but not in the circle. Hardly lift out of it at all. Pretty nice parallel lines there with the arms and the club shaft. All in all, a really good swing. Look at the rotation, turning the right knee to the left knee, not to the golf ball. Maybe needs a little bit more of the rotation here. So the right heel comes off the ground, but pretty nice. Let's take a look. We can see where the ball's going to go. Ball's heading off in a nice straight line. Maybe a little fade towards the end, but not bad. Very good. Now, DB has not yet been out on the golf course, and I think she's ready. I think she's going to go this weekend. I can't wait to hear from her. I hope to see her Monday or Wednesday, but I really like what she did there. 1, 2. Look at the finish. Very nice. If you could hear me now standing behind her at the camera, I'm saying, get your arms long, get your arms long. You're bending them up, you're getting up tight. It's really difficult, I think, for a lot of people to start working with their hands far away from their face, because most of the detail you work in your life has been up close. So we got her to push away. Come on, push away, push away. You're gonna watch. Oh, there she goes, pushing away. Now she's gonna try to get long. Oh, there we go, pretty long. That's pretty nice. Now let's see if she's able to keep that length in the swing. We're gonna run up the golf shaft here. And a nice takeaway. I'm going to do it frame by frame here. There's a little lifting going on. See how the left heel comes off the ground at the same time the head goes up? We don't need to do that. I'm not sure why everybody does that, but then that's what causes the bounce like that. There's absolutely no pressure going to the lead foot. The downswing should be immediately slamming the lead foot, left foot in this case, on the ground hard. Push down into the ground. Instead, it almost looks like we lift up out of the ground. Now she's coming in, there goes those elbows in. How she's flexing and bringing those arms in close to her body, doesn't get the extension and on through. So what we're gonna ask her to do is try to find a way to slam that heel down on the ground like Nicklaus used to do. Never gets to the ground, does it? And then she spins out. So we're gonna get her to work on slamming the foot on the ground and still have fun at the golf course. If there was ever a golfer that might be suited to all clubs being the same length, and I don't mean the same length as a 6-iron, I mean maybe the same length as a 4-iron, it would be this golfer here. He's got a great setup, but he's so bent over and so bound up that he's got to lift as he goes back. As we get older, our body doesn't move as easily as it used to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play this swing in regular motion here, and you're going to see how much movement there is. Up, even on his practice, up, and then bang. A lot of power, but he can't even keep himself on balance. So what if we could find a way to get him in a golf club that allowed him to stand a little more erect like his driver? Now with his driver, he stays pretty balanced. He swings pretty easy. It's very possible these clubs are too short. Now if you look, the end where the grip ends is below his knees. That could be too low. He's a big guy. Big enough that I don't like to criticize him too much in person, but he's a really nice guy, so he'd never do anything like that. So let's watch this swing now in really slow motion. What he does is he right away lifts up. I think some of that is your body telling you you're bent over too far, you're not comfortable. What if he didn't have to lift up? Then he dives back down, and he actually dives back down further. Now right here, if you were to look at this position right here, this is a classic, good, solid contact position. And he's going to rotate through, take a little divot. But what he doesn't do, he's never able to get up to that front leg, move on to this side. Some of that's baseball experience, where you hit with a locked left leg because we're trying to hit it out to right field or something. And that's what he tends to do. What we want him to do is learn how to let that left leg stay flexed until after impact. He's straightening it up right there, before impact, way before impact. What if we didn't straighten it to about right there? Then we'd have power and come on through the shot. Very athletic. He might be one that needs the single length shafts like the new Cobras or the old Tommy Armour 1-irons or what Bryson DeChambeau uses. I made several of these years ago for a lot of my students. As a matter of fact, my lady played those the first several years that she was learning to golf. It's a good idea. Think about that. Think about having all your clubs the same length, maybe the same length as a 6-iron or 5-iron or 4-iron, whatever's the most comfortable for you. That way you don't have to change your setup. You can just swing every club the same. Here you'll see Debbie again. She was here earlier in the session. That was earlier in the week. She does a couple lessons a week. That's the nice thing about the clinic. Come as often as you want, stay as long as you like, hit as many balls as you want. What she's working on, obviously, has been good posture and trying to keep the head as still as possible. Her flaw, once in a while, is she takes the club too far back to the inside. So let's just go ahead and advance this at a nice, easy motion. See, there, that's what I mean about going too far to the inside. And she's getting jammed up. That's when she lifts. See how, if you remember the earlier video, how her arm was pretty parallel to the swing plane. Now this arm right now, if you were to look, again, we look at it, it's way up here. It needs to be down back. She couldn't even get there. She's way up here. So if she could take the club back a little bit more vertical, like a two-plane swinger would, then I don't think she'd have that much diving going on. So that's why she doesn't quite get the good impact she'd like to get, because she lifted up so much. Look where that club is compared to the golf ball. She barely hits the golf ball at all. She gets it with the bottom of the club because she's lifting, and she's lifting, I think, because she's taking that club so far back. Look where it is, way back here. The club should never be off, too much anyway, off that good, easy swing plane line. Dave's been struggling with shots that go drastically off to the right. We're going to use the word we never use on the golf course, called a hosel honker. And here's what's going to happen. Let's watch this swing. Takes the club back. Not bad. Stays pretty steady. But as he comes in, I'm going to stop right before the ball. He's going to lead with the hosel. See how the hosel's coming to the ball first? And as he comes in, bang, he gets the hosel. That's what flips the club over. And off the ball goes to the right, squibbling off to the right. We ended up putting him in a really small-headed club to get some practice. But for Dave, what he's got to do is he's got to do lots of drills. One of the drills is to put a couple of tees in the ground. One there, one there. Learn how to swing through the tees without hitting them. And then as you get better, you're going to put 2 more tees further up. Then as you get better, you're going to put a little more further back. You want to learn how to swing through the gate and then rotate the club closed. Now the reason the club isn't rotating closed, let's clear everything out of the way, is because if we back up a little bit, you see how far under the club the right hand stays. It's under. It needs to be over. And the club on our swing, I don't know if I can do this, I'm not a very good artist. The swing comes from the inside, nice and easy, out to the outside, and then back to the inside. His club comes over the top and then to the inside too steeply. He never gets the in-to-out part of it. So the hosel of the club is what's leading the swing. Therefore, he gets that word I wasn't going to say, the shank. This is the golfer we saw a little bit earlier where I said he may consider having clubs where the irons are all the same length, maybe a little longer, maybe as much as the length of a 5-iron or a 6-iron. What he had a tendency to do was have much more rolled over shoulders. He looked a little bound up. Go back to that video if you get a chance to take a look at the difference. Club fitting is important, and getting fitted to a set of clubs with a pretty progressive club fitter, someone who doesn't look at things the old way, would make a difference. Now, while he's a little bit tilted forward, I'd rather see his head back here a little bit, so it's more behind the ball. What we're looking at here is why the swing appears to be smoother and more graceful and less of a hit with the longer club. So let's just go ahead and play this swing at full speed. Got a good finish, really sharp. Notice he got a little bit more forward. His shoulders are almost up to that front leg. I mean, he's a lot further forward than he was before. Hips much further forward. He doesn't feel as jammed. Plus, he hits this with a little tiny swing like this. Hits this thing about 260. Great rotation of arms and hands. Head's in a good position at the finish. We just need him to get him to move a little bit. I would look into lengthening the shafts of the clubs and changing the lie angles, doing something that's going to help him get a little more comfortable with his short clubs. At our age, it's harder and harder to change ourselves. It's easier to change the equipment. I remember having a little Bug-Eye Sprite. Now I have a Mazda Miata, which is small, but not as small as a Bug-Eye Sprite. I also had a Lincoln for a while, and that was really nice. So sometimes the equipment is more important than changing who we are. This is a really good golfer. He has a couple of tiny flaws that have crept into his swing since I saw him last year. He's got a great setup. His body changes over time. We're not as straight back as we used to be. We used to call those young guys limberbacks. Well, we're not that way anymore. But you can see that his golf shaft, that his spine is about 90 degrees, and his hands are in a good position, hanging down from his shoulders very comfortably. He's got a little bit of an open stance, but his aim, he said, was right there. So he's pretty much on it if you look at it. Well, what I see here is the old phrase, one-piece takeaway, isn't happening. What you'll see right away on the takeaway is the left hand starts moving out away from the body. See that? Moving out. That means the arms and hands are moving differently than the shoulder. We should be moving straight back towards the camera. The hands should come straight back. I shouldn't see any more of the lead hand than the trail hand until almost, and we're way above the line here because he's lifting so much. Let's go back down and put that line in again. Do it red, like red. See what he's going to do? He's going to lift his hands way above the swing plane. You can't do that. You got to stay on the plane. That's why he's coming out over the top so much. It's right here, how the shaft is more parallel to the lead arm than the trail arm. The shaft has got to be back on the trail arm, coming in here, so it's coming down under instead of over the top and you're jammed in. That's why he's getting really high shots that aren't going as far as you'd like him to go. The direction wasn't too bad. It's a little bit to the right. See, watch the line now. See, it's a little bit to the right, but not too bad, especially for an iron. But I think if we can get him to take that club straight back and relax on the takeaway, we're going to see a huge difference.